Hey there everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Matt, and today we're continuing the playthrough of Space Quest 2. Last time we left off, we were in this canyon where we'd met up with these little creatures that we'd helped out a little bit earlier, and they've agreed to give us safe passage out of this region. So all we need to do here is say the word, and these little guys are going to open up this nice little tunnel. So have to be a little bit careful here. We don't want to step into the hole, but we do want to climb down. Like that. There we go. So now we've just greeted with this absolute pitch blackness. So if we type hold gem, just like we did before in the cave, you can't manage to maneuver with the gem in your hand. So little trick here, put the gem in mouth. Ah, better. Not a great deal better, but better. So now we're in this little kind of labyrinth of ladders and kind of tunnels, which is all underground. The general rule to this, from what I remember, is we always have to head to the right. We kind of head down whenever we can get the opportunity. But we can see here, suddenly, an inhuman guttural moan echoes through the narrow caves. You're not sure which direction it came from. The only thing you do know for sure is that you've just soiled your undergarment. So, basically a very scary sound has just occurred. If you wander around here for too long, a monster does come along and eat you, but I've found in my experience it's pretty rare. If you generally just stick to the direction, sort of heading right and heading down, you never really encounter it. So, I'm just going to kind of muddle along here until I find where I need to go. But it is possible you can map this out if you wish. I think there's some guides on the internet too, which kind of sort of help you along and tell you exactly where to turn. It's not a variable maze. It is fixed, so it doesn't change from, one time when you load the game to another. But yeah, they didn't make this one too difficult, which is kind of nice. So at the end of this maze, we're hopefully going to come out in a nice little kind of... okay, so there's a dead end there. If you find a dead end, generally I just backtrack a little bit and see if I can sort of go down any further via another ladder. And if not, I go back the way I came and then kind of, again, try and then progress to the right. So that's a dead end. So we're going to go back, we're going to go to the left. And just for this bit, I might just speed it up. That way we're not going to take as much time. So for instance there, I'm just going to try and go to the right one layer up. That didn't really help me. Let's try and go to the right up here. That doesn't help me at all either. Let's try... So I think what we'll do, let's go back to the left here. And then that seems to just be a circle, so that's no good. Back to the left here. That's a dead end. Oh, there we go. Oh my. Now you know why they wanted to close the hole behind you. You have become the unwilling victim of the dreaded cave squid. Tough luck. So, me getting lost is actually not as bad as it seems. We get to experience the senseless tragedy of the cave squid. Alright, so obviously we're going to have to restore our game from here. And we're at the underground maze. We just need to say the word. And we'll do a... Ah, okay. So you can't actually fall down the hole. If you just kind of step there, you actually just start climbing the ladder. Hold gem in the mouth. So let's go for a faster speed yet again. And this time, yeah, as I said, the general rule of going to the right and kind of going down does work, but sometimes it takes a few iterations of finding the right combo. So we'll go down here. And then if there's an option to go to the right there, let's just see if we can go even further down. No, we can't. So we're going to go to the right on this one. And then down again. So we go to the right on this one. just see, that's a dead end. I think this is exactly the way I went last time. I've got a bad feeling. That's a dead end. Let's just explore to the left a bit more. Keep going. I think there is another ladder. Here we go. Goes down a bit further. That's more like it. So I think after this one, yeah, see how we've sort of jumped from that high level to a lower level? This is definitely the exit at this point. Okay, so here we are. You have an opportunity to stand and spare your tender knees. The crystal clear water gives off a gentle glow. In abundance, it is able to light the room. You take the glowing gem from between your aching jaws. You notice it is overly moist as you slip it into your pocket. Alright, let's go back to the normal speed. So if we do another look around, we're probably not going to tell us much. But this place is amazing. Beautiful subterranean waterfalls and cascades drop before you, filling the air with billions and billions of tiny misty droplets, which tickle the cilia. The air is thick with a revitalizing humid freshness. This message is also getting a little thick. Alright, so the water here isn't poisonous or anything. And this little waterfall, if you kind of hover underneath it. Ah, this is better than a shower massage. So they don't actually kill you or anything. But the way to progress is to cruise on down here. And we're going to kind of go with the flow of the water and see where it takes us. Now, there is a divergent path here, so we can either go to the left or the right. And what we will do, just for fun, is we are going to save it right about here in the middle. What should we call this one? Let's call this Matthew in water. So let's just go to the left just for fun, and we'll see what the left-hand side does. Now notice, at the moment we've still got control, but there's a waterfall up there. That waterfall is a bad idea. Now I've lost control, so we're kind of locked in. So we're going to kind of go down this little dip here. And then you can tell we're in a bit of trouble here. We're kind of bobbing our head up and down in the water. Swinging around. And... ah! Wow, that's a lot of thuds. Splat! After caroming off of a pair of rock outcroppings, you find a final resting place at the base of the falls. Caroming, there's a word that I haven't heard for a long time. At least I think that's how you pronounce it. So yeah, obviously left-hand tunnel, bad idea. Let's give the right-hand tunnel a try. And this generally, well, definitely goes a lot better. As you enter another of the mysterious subterranean chambers, you realize that the water is now racing towards a giant whirlpool in the middle of the area. You are caught in the strong current, powerless to alter your course. I always love how he turns his head backwards, like trying in vain to go back the way he came, but getting absolutely nowhere. And then like getting spun round and round this cool little whirlpool. Your body is sucked down until finally you are able to resist no more and must yield to the overwhelming force. Geez, that was quite a trip. Peering around, you find yourself back in the open again. Now, this part here, I believe... so we'll call this in open again. I think if you go underneath this waterfall too many times, I had this vague recollection, it's not good for you. But it looks like it doesn't do anything. I'm probably remembering wrong. Let's just see, again, for interest, what's over here to the left. I don't think there's actually anything, but... no, it's just the end of the screen. So again, the way to progress is over here to the right. And this next bit is something that would have stumped a lot of people back in the day. And it definitely stumped me for a little while. So we go out and we're back into this clearing here. And you notice there's basically a giant rock blocking our way. So if we do a look around, you're in a little clearing which is surrounded by large boulders and impenetrable brush. There is water in which you entered at the bottom left. You can just see the landing platform in the distance. So we obviously need to get to the landing platform because that's where that shuttle was taking off from, and you know, theoretically we can hijack it. But there's no way to climb these rocks. So what you need to do is, if we stand back here, we need to blow our whistle. You give the whistle a toot, it makes an odd sound. You hear an incredible whirring and grinding sound coming from the north. I'm just going to start. Okay, so suddenly a Labion terror beast buzzes into the room like a tornado, and he looks like he'd do as much damage as one. So the trick here is we've got to occupy him somehow, so he's not going to just come and basically annihilate us. So what I might really quickly do here, I'm going to do a save game. So let's just go in open again, that's fine. And I'm just going to let him kind of buzz over in our direction and see what happens. Whoa! Well, ain't that a hoot. The guy reduced you to a multicolored mound of coleslaw-like matter. Better than a Murphco Slicer-matic. You are dead, however. So yeah, hanging around is not a great idea because the Labion terror beast just tears us a new one. However, if we can find a way to keep him occupied, so if we throw our Cubics Rube puzzle over to the beast appears interested in your offering. Curiosity gets the better of him as he reaches down for it. He seems quite perplexed by the puzzling plastic polyhedron. So at this point, he's just going to play with that Cubics Rube pretty much indefinitely. Now, another way to solve this, which is not the correct way, but it does work, is if you stand in the water, he's not able to get to you, and he'll kind of just buzz around the shoreline. If you then walk off to the left, back to where the waterfall was, and then walk back onto the screen, he disappears. Let's just take a quick look at this rock that he belted through as well. The rocks in this region are all grey and fairly rounded. There appears to be nothing interesting about them. Let's look at the hole. There seems to be a nice cleanly bored shaft running through the boulder. Now at the base of the hole, there's actually some stones. I don't know how you actually find out that you can pick them up though. Let's try with ground. The ground looks quite ordinary except for the pile of debris near one of the boulders. Let's look at the debris. In the pile of debris lies a stone. So let's take the stone. You pick up a small rock generated during the Terror Beast Grand Entrance. Sweet. So this stone is quite useful in this next screen. So again, I'm just going to do a quick save here. Let's look at Matthew at tower. So we can see there's a guard patrolling up the top here, and let's just wait for him to kind of go behind one of the pillars, and we'll just see what happens if we try and make a run for it. But I'm pretty sure this does not work. So let's try and make a run for this door. Ooh. Dang, allowing the guard to observe you was not very swift. He has disassembled you, probably adding a little excitement to his otherwise dull day. Alright, so you're not able to make it to the door, even if you really optimize your route and wait till he just disappears off the screen. But what you can do is if you look at the supporter, this is your athletic supporter. Without close inspection, you notice it to be well used. Notice it looks a little bit like a slingshot. So we can try to sling rock at guard with supporter. Now, this one's a little tricky because, again, I remember years ago, I used to just type sling rock with supporter, and if you don't put at guard, it just slings it off into the bushes. You cleverly use the athletic supporter to sling the rock at the guard. It makes serious contact with the side of his head. We like the way you think. He drops like a lead parakeet. The right thud of impact is momentarily sickening. He is perfectly still. So yeah, always with that one there, make sure sling rock at guard. Otherwise, it just literally comes up something like, you hear the rock disappear into the bushes. Search the guard, we find nothing. So now, we've got this little door thing here. Let's give it a look. The elevator is nothing spectacular to look at. On the left side is a thin slot. Now remember, we picked up a key card. So we can insert card in slot. You slide the key card into the slot and then remove it. So that gets us access into here. As soon as the elevator door closes behind you, the platform on which you rest begins to rise. So that's another classic Sierra hallmark of this game. If you hadn't searched the guard right away when you crashed, you would have got to here without the key card and you would have been stuck. Let's take a look at the shuttle. It looks just like the shuttle that brought you here. Now if you type enter shuttle, you recall from when you landed the entry hatch being on the rear left of the shuttle. So we just need to kind of very carefully move that way, because you can step off the edge of this platform, as you'd imagine. There we go. You open the hatch and head on in. Now this is the iconic Space Quest 2 backdrop, which you find a lot of screenshots on the internet, and a lot of people remember this because it's rather detailed for an AGI game and it does look really cool. So now we're in the shuttle. Let's do a quick save. This isn't actually that dangerous. In terms of flying this thing, it's pretty logical. If you do a look console, everything looks automatic. The panel is loaded with clusters of system status indicators. There is a power button, an attitude dial, and an ascent thruster button. Let's start off by pressing power. Alright, that's got the thing powered up. Now let's look at the dial. The attitude dial sets throttle control to either vertical attitude control or horizontal attitude control. It is set to hack. Now obviously we want to take off, so we want to set the dial to vertical control. So let's turn the dial. It's kind of funny that the attitude dial is now set to VAC and you just press the button over there, but that's cool. Let's press the thruster button. Let's see, console. Oh, it's called ascent thruster, so press ascent. The shuttle begins to vibrate as the ascent thrusters ignite. Now let's give the old throttle a pull. And look at that, off we go. Ascent thrusters ready, attitude system vertical control, forward descend, back ascend. So by pulling it back, we're ascending off of the ground. And you can see our altitude is increasing as we're going above the clouds. And that has gotten us basically off of the planet Lavion, which is really cool. I think they designed the screen to mimic the space shuttle back in the day, because late 80s, the space shuttle had been around for quite a while at that point. But yeah, really cool backdrop. You're off the planet. Good work, Roger Wilco. A tone sounds. A soft synthesized voice notes that adequate altitude has been achieved. Ascent thrusters are now ineffective. The monitor draws your attention again. Minimum altitude achieved. Attitude system, vertical control, forward descend, back ascend. So now that we're in space, basically, and this is not how you'd really get into space. It doesn't quite work like that. But let's just pretend you can go straight up. We now need to turn the dial again to go to horizontal control. Because if we go to vertical, we'll just kind of set ourselves down. Now we can pull the throttle. You can pull or push it. It doesn't actually matter. Pulling it makes you go backwards, which I always thought was kind of funny, as you can see the stars in the windshield there kind of going the wrong way. But either way, you get the same result. The screens are suddenly splashed with the incredibly horrible image of sludge Vohol. Hello, Roger Wilco. I've been waiting for you. Once again, my subordinates have failed me. Anyway, it looks like you'll be visiting me again soon. Don't bother trying to pilot the vehicle. I have taken control. You will be arriving at my command post shortly. I anxiously await your arrival. He closes with a chilling laugh. His image is frozen on the screens. The ship changes course as if it had a life of its own. All you can do is hang on. So you can see now we're going forwards. If we push the throttle, just for fun, as Vohol stated, nothing works. So nothing you can do at this point is going to stop the outcome of you basically being drawn into the asteroid. You feel the ship bank. You can sort of see the stars are going backwards and forwards. We're kind of like pivoting around here. And there in the windshield is Vohol's asteroid, which you may recognize from the first part of the playthrough, right at the beginning when we launched out of there towards the surface of Labion. Pretty cool looking asteroid, actually. Through the window, you see your apparent destination, Vohol's asteroid. It's massive too. But you sort of get the impression it's quite a small asteroid when you're walking around in here, but from this perspective, the thing is huge. Alright. The massive bay doors meet, jarring the entire vehicle bay. As you step down, the shuttle's door slams shut behind you. You're quite surprised not to find several of Vohol's guards waiting to greet you. You begin to ponder what the twisted scientist might have in store for you. Alright, so this is definitely a save game moment here. Alright, so we have to be a little careful here. You can see in the future, or in Roger Wilco's timeline, they don't believe in guardrails around any walkways or anything like that, so you can literally just kind of take a giant step, and it's a short step to the end of the game for you. You know Buddy Ebsen. So you have to be very careful around this part of the game. Always made me curious as to why they didn't believe in guardrails, but I think it's just to add a bit more fun to the adventure game and a bit more difficulty. So let's wander off here to the right, and you can see there's an elevator. Now if we'd wandered to the left, there's also another elevator which just is basically a mirror image of this. So no matter which one we choose, we're going to end up on the same floors. So let's look at the panel inside this elevator. The panel has a vertical row of 4 buttons. There is some small engraving at the bottom edge of the panel. Read engraving. The engraving reads, Bobco Lift Division, a subsidiary of Bobco Inc., universally famous makers of Nad's hamster tape. Classic. Boldly go where no man has gone before. That's a bit of a trademarky one there. Alright, so we can basically press 3 is the next level we can go up. There we go. And you can see here, we're just in a fairly regular old fairly regular corridor, and you have the funny feeling you're being watched. So you can see here we're on level 3. Security cameras kind of following us around a bit. Now, there's not a lot that can go wrong while you're walking through these corridors. The only thing is there is a floor waxer, which we'll probably see in a minute, that can run us over, which is kind of bad news. But for the most part, this is all pretty straightforward stuff. Now, at this point, again, Space Quest is a fairly short game, or they're fairly short games compared to others like Police Quest. So we're 3/4 of the way through already. So there's not a huge amount to go, but this is definitely one of the more challenging parts if you've never played the game. So let's have a look at this door. The door is closed. There is a button situated next to it. Let's press the button. Aha! You know a janitorial closet when you smell one. Almost at once you sense an emptiness, a melancholy longing. You begin to feel homesick. Let's look around. It's quite dark in here. You do find a plunger, however. So the general rule, like all Sierra games, if there's an inventory or there's an item that you find, you take it. And there's only a couple of exceptions to those rules. In Space Quest 4, there's one item, if you take it, it actually ends up blowing you up. But in general, if it's there for the taking, it's going to be useful later on. So let's just cruise to the other side of this corridor. And you can see there's the other elevator. So they're basically, as I said, one end of the corridor versus the other. So it doesn't matter on the ground floor which one you pick. So let's press 4. Never really understood why there's never a level 2 in this game. I don't know if it was sort of a joke or an inside joke for something, but nonetheless, you can't go to level 2. So let's see what's on level 4. Again, pretty nondescript corridor. You can kind of see those little light things at the top, those red beacons. They're actually emergency lights. They'll come on a bit later in the game. You don't actually need to come up onto these floors though to see them, but I assume they work just the same. Another door here. Let's press the button. Oops. Get a bit closer. Do another look around. It's quite dark in here. On the floor you notice a glass cutter. Sounds like it might be useful later on. So we'll take that into our possession and continue our little walk through here. So the nifty thing about the Space Quest games is that they all kind of feed onto each other. And I'll finish that sentiment in a minute, but actually let's just look at these doors first. The door bears icons, one male, the other female. Each has a button next to it. If we press one of the buttons, doesn't matter which we choose, you notice that both doors basically go into the same restroom. So this is always a fun one. If you do a look around, you've stepped into a porcelain palace of sorts. It is obviously a restroom, a place which, in an interesting fashion, serves to exhibit the physical diversity of the universe. The walls are covered in an easy-to-hose-down synthetic material. Attached to them in various locations are devices designed to efficiently collect waste products from the life forms which are able to physically match up to them. On the back wall are stalls. 3 of them are in use, judging by the various feet which show beneath the stall doors. To the left are sinks. So in here, we can open the door to the stall, close the door, and if you want, you can use the toilet. So you slide your uniform pants down and settle onto the cool ring. You go through whatever motions might be normal for you during this act. Refreshed, you grab your pants and compose yourself. But more importantly, if you do a look around in here, the inside of the stall is a sight to behold. There is writing of various languages etched on the walls. The floor has an interesting coating of some type of congealed dreck. It appears that the toilet may have been white once. A toilet paper dispenser hangs on one wall. So there's a clue. If you look at the dispenser, the toilet paper dispenser is of the single sheet variety. A close look makes you believe you should have... Okay, let me start that one again. A closer look makes you believe the paper should have a grit rating. That's a classic. So it's obviously very cheap toilet paper that's very, very rough. And the grit rating is referenced to sandpaper. So what I didn't realize that you could do early on when I played this is you actually take the toilet paper. The toilet paper becomes useful a little bit later. Just for fun as well, you can look at the graffiti. Oops. Writing. Okay, maybe you can't. Oh, maybe you have to read writing. Ah, there we go. So just read writing. The writing etched on the walls is in various languages. One large message reads, "Here I sit, lonely-hearted, had to bolt, but only darted. Came in here to unleash a beast, just to find my colon creased." So, same one again. "You're right, RD. Sierra is an alien outpost, and it certainly puts to rest some myths regarding superior life forms." So, Graham cross-dresses. Benzerheisland was here. And yeah. The sound comes from one of the occupied stalls, you think. Suddenly, one of your sensors downloads an extremely negative air quality report. For some reason, the name John springs to mind. I love, rather than just saying it, an unusual smell fills the room. It's like you register a negative air quality or a poor air quality report. So let's take a look at the sinks. Faucets aren't operational. Vohol doesn't seem big on personal hygiene. So we've got the toilet paper from here. That's about all we can do. Looking at the time, it's been about 30 minutes for this one. I'm probably going to end it off here because it'd be nice to break this into 3 parts. And we've got probably another 20 so minutes to go. So thank you again for watching. Please stay tuned for the next installment, which will be finalizing this game. If you've enjoyed the video so far, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel to grow. And especially if you have enjoyed it and this is the sort of content for you, please consider subscribing. Thanks again and see you on the next one. Later.